back to Content Culture. It's your girl, Tommy.
And it's Nicole.
And we are a weekly podcast where we talk about all things pop culture news, do some little reality TV recaps, and just share about life from our lens as beautiful Black women.
Yeah.
And Nicole, as we start off every episode, tell me about your weekend, tell me about your life. How's it going? Let's catch up.
Pretty quiet this past week. I really just stayed in and got some rest this weekend, which was what I needed. So that was my weekend, was really just relaxing.
This is funny. You can probably see this if you're watching the video version. I had my microphone off to the side. So I I hope everyone else was able to hear the beginning parts of that. But yes, so it was just nice and relaxing.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, so I actually had a friend in from back home, and we were able to gallivant around Charlotte, so that was a lot of fun. It was very hot. The girl was sweating. But I loved playing tourist, especially because even though I've lived here since 2019, I felt like we had just gotten married and we were moving and trying to figure a lot of different stuff out about living situations. So there wasn't really time to explore. And then of course COVID hit in the beginning of 2020. So it's nice to be able to kind of get back in the swing of things and start looking at all the things that are really cool here in Charlotte.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that you were able to play tourist in your own city.
Definitely. And it just reminded me of I just love living in a mid-sized city where there are often things to do and not just let's go, hang out at home and watch Netflix and whatever, which is great. I love me some Netflix.
Yeah. But it's nice to have things to do too, I think.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Before we get into some pop culture news, I also want to share this weekend that I started Are You the One because of my friend. Have you watched that show?
I've watched a couple episodes.
Okay, so if you don't know the premise of it, basically it is a reality TV show that's on MTV, and people have been telling me, oh, I need to watch this because it's similar to Love Island vibes, all the stuff where they have 10 couples. It's 10 men, 10 women, and they're all in this house and they're trying to figure out who their perfect match is, but you don't know who it is. And so you have a certain amount of time to figure it out. And if they win, they get $1 million, which is crazy to me for a reality TV show. But it really drew me in because I'm loving this gameplay. I'm loving strategy stuff. And I'm on the first season, so you can tell none of them are really in doing well strategy wise. But right. I hope that the future seasons will kind of give me what I'm looking for there. But I love trying to figure it out and puzzle it myself.
Okay. I think I tried that one and I was I really like X on the Beach from MTV. That one, the early seasons of that were very interesting. But yeah, you'll have to let me know what you think of Are You the One after you finish.
Yeah, I'll do the one season and then kind of reevaluate. Right now, I'm also these people are who am I rooting for here? Because at least with these other shows, there's one redeemable person, but it doesn't really feel that way here.
Okay. Well, that's kind of a letdown.
It is what it is.
Should we get into some celebrity news, some pop culture recap?
Let's do it. I want to start off with revisiting our girl, Chrissy Teigen. Because, like we said, I think in our previous post or episode, I like to say post because I'm used to the gram, but our previous episode of how it seems like she really struggles with staying off of social media.
She does. We talk about people having social media addictions, and I think she is the perfect example of someone that cannot just live her life offline, which is kind of interesting because she is so quote unquote successful. She is she's rich, she's famous, she should be able to do all these things. She has children, she has a famous hot husband that's very talented. You would think she would just be I don't need to be on the internet with you peasants. I don't need Twitter. But she seems like someone that needs that validation of social media.
Definitely. And I think, because I know I was struggled with oh, I don't want to be the person who's out here diagnosing her. But I think even she would say yeah, I have an addiction because of the way that she comes on. It's oh, it's hard for me to stay off. She came back again doing this Instagram post kind of talking about going outside sucks and it doesn't feel right. Being at home alone with my mind makes my depressed head race. She's but I do know that, however, I'm handling this now isn't the right answer. And she also said that cancel club is a fascinating thing. And I've learned a whole lot. Only a few understand it, and it's impossible to know until you're in it. And it's hard to talk about it in that sense because obviously you sound whiny. When you've clearly done something wrong, it just sucks. And I'm yeah, Chrissy, you're correct.
You do sound whiny.
Yeah, at this point, I really just hope the people who are closest to her can help her get the help that she needs. And I really think that includes taking her phone away, going to a retreat or something for 6 weeks, because I think she needs to relax, de-stress, and learn what life was like before being attached to phones so much. Especially like you have your kids, like go take your kids with you and John like before he goes on tour and all this stuff, because right now it's kind of scaring me to watch it from the outside.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just like it's kind of sad watching it because it's like, yes, you did this thing that was horrible and everyone is talking negatively about you, which I'm sure does impact your mental health and all of those things, right? But
Mhm.
it's like you need to go do something else. Like you need to go find a hobby outside of being online.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think, like I said, it was kind of interesting. Of do I think this person can change because of how long she's kind of acted this way? But hopefully, that if she's able to take that time, there can be some type of shift in her mindset and kind of going forward. And so it's like, do I feel bad for her when she's a celebrity and she has the resources to seek therapy, which she says she is in therapy? Getting away whenever she wants, like it's there. There's a little bit of empathy, but it can only go so far when I am like, you've got the tools, girl. Like you can do it.
Yeah, I definitely have some compassion for her, but I'm in the similar boat to you where I'm like, you need to help yourself. Like, like you have the resources to help yourself. So go do that. Go take that time.
I also thought it was really funny that I don't know if you saw Alec Baldwin commented on her post,
Oh, I
and he
didn't see
was
that.
like, "I think you're specifically targeted. Like more on that later. Like all that." And I'm like, Alec, what do you think? This is some organized campaign from the Illuminati to take her down.
Alex said Pizzagate, but reverse.
Right. Alec, we still remember you calling your daughter a pig on voicemail, so
No one's forgotten.
right. We'll get to you later.
Yeah.
In other news, there was more of a revisiting of Britney Spears news. I think like we're going to be keeping up with it for a very long time until we hopefully get to the end of this of her conservatorship, because the stands are on that legal ass of judge, you better do what you need to do because we're here and we're ready to fight.
Right. I'm excited. I believe last week, she picked her new lawyer, and it's the first time she's been allowed to choose her own legal representation, which I think is
Yes.
a huge step and also baffling to me that she wasn't able to do this before. I think it's really shining a light on some of the laws around people that are disabled.
Wait, so she actually picked, because I know she was allowed to her lawyer resigned, but I didn't know she has
She
gotten
she
it.
she
She's
did hire
picked.
someone. Yes.
That's great. I also just thought it was crazy that she was saying that until recently she didn't even know that she had the ability to end her conservatorship.
I feel for her.
After 13 years she's been with the previous representation. I'm like, what were you doing?
Probably lying to her.
I guess so, but I'm just I hope they're looking at his license as well of all the type of malpractice things that he was doing to for your client to not even know that she has this option.
Right. Like you're
What
clearly not there to represent her. You're clearly representing like her family's
Right,
interests
the
and her
estate,
dad.
all this stuff.
Right.
But also she was feuding with her sister this week, which I think is a little bit more than sibling rivalry. Also, I didn't realize, I mean, I knew that there was a large age gap, but there's like 9 years in between them. So Brittany's 39, Jamie Lynn is 30. And basically, we talked about earlier about, Brittany saying that she wants to sue her entire family, who did nothing to help her during her conservatorship and used her resources. And we noted that, oh, this definitely includes Jamie Lynn, because it wasn't like she said, all of my family except my sister.
Right.
And then Jamie Lynn came out with this video tearing up and saying, of course I support her to like Mars and back. Like, I love you, girl.
And she also made a point there to be like, I've never made a dime off Britney.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brittany basically said, girl, you got me fucked up if you think you're going to play in my face like this. I love this new Brittany of like saying, I'm not going to stand up for this shit anymore.
She's had enough. I mean,
Yeah.
she's using hashtag free Britney, the whole like I think Jamie Lynn wrote a caption on Instagram originally that was like, like God be with you. And then
Yes.
Britney was like, God be with your mean ass. And I was like, whoa,
Right.
whoa, 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 shots fired. Pow, pow, pow. Like we weren't ready.
It was a very good reminder that this girl's from Louisiana, which means that she can fight. She's got hands. She said, let's take this to the Bayou, okay?
And
Let the
Jamie
Gators
Lynn,
decide.
exactly. And Jamie Lynn's 9 years younger. So like she grew up really entire teen years, like Britney was Britney.
Mhm.
Britney was like, before I was Britney from the holler. You could catch these hands. Love that for her.
I really do. I just thought it was funny that Jamie did the Bible verse as her clapback. So I'm like, is that not the Southern way to go to things of like, oh crap, I can't think of anything right now, so let me just do love and light.
Yeah, like
Go
Corinthians.
Jesus.
Corinthians. Bless your heart.
And it's like, no, girl, we know that you're one of these people that you did that award show and, performed Britney's songs. And looking back at it now, I saw this video of her response to her watching Jamie Lynn on stage doing it. And Jamie's like, surprise! And Britney's like, wow, like she was not having it at all. She took the award from Jamie Lynn and like didn't even really hug her. It was like this Christian side hug thing. And it
And
was just
and she
awkward.
wrote about that in another Instagram caption. So I'm like, they are
Mm-hmm.
definitely feuding. She was like, I don't like that my sister's going up there and performing my songs without asking me. I was like, oh, tell us everything. Tell us everything.
Yeah, but this entire past week has basically been just her saying, "Watch out for the snakes who, have not been supporting you and now trying to like stand up and say this, and remember the people who reached out and tried to help you without someone saying anything to you." And that's the Free Britney community. I think they honestly, the next time someone says social media does nothing, they'd be like, "This here's the receipts," because I think it's helped empower her to kind of use her voice and try to move forward and do what she can to stop and end this, but also like her getting the right representation, shining a light on how messed up this entire situation is. And I even saw that like the ACLU filed their own petition to make sure that she got her own representation in
That's
this
awesome.
situation. So I'm loving it. Hopefully it keeps going forward in a positive light. But it gives me hope with all the eyes on it that hopefully that they'll do the right thing.
Yeah, same.
Into some, wonderful Black women being queens. I have to share that did you see that the Sports Illustrated Swimsuit editions came out?
Yes. Love it. The first trans woman to be on the cover.
Yes, yes. We also have Naomi Osaka, which did you know she was the first Black athlete to do the swimsuit edition? And I was like, surely not.
I thought Serena did it.
I thought Serena did. So I also was like trying to Google and find things. And she's been on the cover multiple times, but not swimsuit. And I think she's also done swimsuit things inside the magazine,
But never the cover. Okay.
but never the cover. And I'm like, I'm happy for you, but I'm very sad that that's a first. So
Yeah, I know she's the first Haitian woman and the first Japanese woman to cover, which is good, but also
yeah,
like, where are we at?
right, right. I was just like, yeah, no Serena. So none of the gymnastics ballas that we've had for the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Like there's a huge gap there. So, again, happy that they're breaking down these barriers and stuff, but the fact that they're still first Black, I'm like, oh gosh. Long way to go. Also, Megan was the first rapper. I don't know if that's like anything because I'm like, what other rappers really?
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know that Nicki would do it, you know what I mean? Or like Lil
Right,
Kim. Lil Kim would have been a good one, but she
for
was kind
sure.
of ahead of her time. Like they weren't really putting Black women on covers then.
Like, regardless. Yeah, even like Queen Latifah, I'm like, would she have done that? Who could know? Who could know?
Oh. But I'm excited for Megan. She looks good. I
Yes.
was like, come on, Meg.
Good with the
Yeah,
T. Oh, body goals for real. I'm just a little pony, a little My Little Pony, but
I know.
in my head, I'm a stallion. So
I'm trying to hit the gym, not this summer, but after it's listen, it's too hot here. I was this weekend, you were like, "What did you do this weekend?" It was like so humid, so
yeah,
hot. And I saw a tweet that shouldn't have been funny but was, and someone said, "This cannot be the same Washington DC that Martin Luther King was marching on."
for real though.
Cuz he was out here in July in a three-piece suit, and let me tell you, it would not be me.
The same weather that the ancestors picking crops with.
I feel like am I really of my ancestors? Because I go outside for 5 seconds and I'm like, can't do
Ooh,
it. Wasn't made for
yeah,
this.
not
Would not make it in
today.
Africa. Would not make it.
I mean, let's just blame it on global warming, like everything else, because
That's what I'm trying to say.
let's just say that that's it, because there's no way.
Anyways, once it cools down a little bit, I'm trying to be in the gym, getting my stallion work in. See you
Getting
next
ripped
summer.
tonight. Yeah, I love that for you.
Thank you.
I also want to share some music news because sometimes, I feel like we do more of like artists, but as they're out in the wild. But then we have Normani releasing Wild Side with Cardi B.
Okay.
Woo.
I just have to talk about this. We're going to talk about
Woo.
it. But
Please do.
I just saw the cover image at first, like the album, the single artwork, and
Okay.
I, jaw on the ground, was like, this is art.
I'm actually looking it up right now because all I've done is just watch the video on
Oh,
repeat.
please look it up. I just want our people that watch on YouTube to see your live reaction. I saw it and I was like, the levels to this.
The levels to
Okay.
this.
It's kind of giving like medieval art, but like modernized. Like I was like, with black hair. And I was like, so love that. And then Tommy's face, I can't.
I'm sorry. I'm just in
She wasn't
awe.
ready. So yeah,
of them
so that was the
always.
first like introduction I had, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then I forgot to listen at midnight, but Tommy texted in our group chat and was like, it's hitting the way it should. And I went to go download it and I was like, let me just watch this music video before I even listen to it, which
Yes.
is the way to consume the content here. Who is doing choreography like this?
No one.
This was giving me 2000s throwbacks.
Yes.
TLC, Tony
I
Braxton,
was about to say,
Sierra.
yes, Sierra, Janet's like the
She was
spirit.
dancing. She was dancing.
Yeah.
I tell me your thoughts. Tell me your thoughts.
I'm like, let's do this. Let's bring back talented pop girls where you can't just be out here doing a little TikTok move and vocals, which, you know what? I love that for you. And I also love those moments because as someone who is not like a dancer, I'll take that. But I want to be entertained. I want my jaw to be on the floor and be like, look at this material. And that's what she was giving. She gave us like 6, 7 different things in the music video. And I'm like, what is the budget for this?
Insane. But the thing is, her label is not like hyping her up enough for me. I don't know if you saw this. I don't know if you saw that Cardi was on her Instagram live, like telling people Normani's interview schedule. She was like, I'm not kidding. I'll find the video and we'll link it in the show notes. But Cardi was like, everybody, she's talking about different things. And then she's like, by the way, Normani has an interview with such and such radio station at 6:30. Be sure to tune in. You can stream it live at suchandsuch.com. And I was like,
what a good friend.
Cardi, the manager? Come on. Come on.
I absolutely love that for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like I'm ready for the album at this point.
Please.
I mean, she's saying that this is what the first steps are towards that album, but I've been hurt too many times before. And people ask, like, oh, what are Normani stands called? Like, Nicki stands, they're Barbie, like, Barbs and all this stuff. And I'm like, I think we should just be called Patient at this point. Because
when she dropped Motivation, we thought we were getting an album soon, right?
Correct. I've been here waiting. I streamed.
But you know what? God rewards the faithful.
Amen. Let's use that Bible. You guys didn't know you're getting a sermon today. Amen. Okay. And also, wonderful musician news. We have to talk about Lil Nas X and his own little video drop reveal. My God, I am not kidding you when I say that he is an icon. He is the future. He is the moment. He will be the biggest male artist, perhaps artist, even in the next 10 years. This is not a joke.
I saw someone tweet last night and they said no one is doing it. Like Lil Nas is going to be in music history. Like no one is doing what he's doing. The marketing, the thought.
Correct.
My friend was texting me about all this stuff, and I'll let you give a breakdown in a second. But the song is going to be called Industry Baby. He first tweeted it in like a clip of it in October of 2020. So it's now been 9 months. And so he tweeted last night, he thread tweeted that, and he said 9 months because it takes 9 months to have a baby. What? Levels to this shit.
I'm just always in awe of how he threads all of these things together. So if you missed it, basically earlier this year with Montero, his Call Me By Your Name video, which had like the Satan influence things, which was really funny to see take off on TikTok, to see people like doing the little things of like Satan coming down the stripper pole. But basically, there was also this backlash because he released this limited edition shoe through a different company. It wasn't Nike. But there were Nike shoes that had 666 on them and also had like blood, like
Yeah,
in
a drop of blood. Yeah.
drop of blood, like in the bottom of the shoe. So there's a lot of like backlash, all these things. Nike was kind of like mad because they're like, we do not have a part of this, but our name is kind of being whatever. And there was this like legal thing, which I thought was settled earlier this year, kind of was. But he starts recently, like within the past couple of weeks, saying like, "Oh my gosh, my label's still making me make all these TikToks, even though I might be going to jail soon because of these damn Satan shoes." All this, and so everyone's kind of getting concerned of like, "Oh my gosh, is this about to happen over these poor shoes? This guy?" And so we're all kind of tuned in to watching of what's going on and seeing this court date. And he just keeps saying, court date's tomorrow. Like, I'm really scared. I'm really nervous. So we're all tuned in. And then he releases this Industry Baby video clip of him in court. But it's like very Big Mama's House style, or like Nutty Professor, where he's playing like every character, where he was the judge. He played himself of like, in the little jail jumpsuit, and the lawyer's like getting his name wrong and basically saying like, my client is innocent. And the judge like sends him to jail. And that's like where the video ends, and it like drops the trailer or like the information for his song dropping this week.
This Friday.
And it's like produced by Kanye, and craziness, and
Jack Harlow's going to be on it.
Harlow's going to be on it. And I'm like, my gosh.
I also didn't think until I saw a tweet about this, they were like you may have seen this. They were like, to use Kanye as your producer when like you tied in the Nike thing and you know that Kanye is feuded with Nike. I did not even connect that in my head.
Yes.
And it was like levels.
I thought it was interesting that we didn't hear anything from Nike or like someone else or like a reporter during all this time of like, oh, I've seen Lil Nas X talking about he's going to court, but like I haven't found anything. Or maybe they realized that it was going to be a promotion thing once they like did the work and were like, oh, okay, I'm just not going to say anything about it. But I just thought it was shocking that from all the entertainment reporters and stuff that I follow who are like on social, that I didn't see anything debunking it beforehand. So if they got that it was a joke, props to them.
Right.
Props to them, because I loved it. The payoff was wonderful.
Right. I was shocked when I watched the video. I was like, oh, genius.
You had me in the first half. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. He had me in the third quarter. I mean, we really were coming in at the end there.
Yeah. But again, just like super proud of him. And I'm so excited to see future of what he does, because he keeps doing things like this for his drops and releases and surprises and, visuals where he's performing on stage or these music videos. And it's just like no one else as a male artist right now is doing exciting things like this. So it's nice.
I love it. He is truly an entertainer.
Very, very true. That's it for what I really have in terms of news. But I feel like, can we do like a quick little thoughts on Love Island US before we get into this batch?
For sure.
Can I just say, if you have not started watching Love Island USA at all because you've watched Love Island UK and you're like, there's no way it can be as good, let me introduce you to season 3. Because this has the makings of being one of the best seasons in franchise history. And I'm just saying it has the makings, so do not come for me if it ends up like taking a steep dive after this. But casting on point. Main character Cash on point. The guys that they're bringing in, the
newest guy, Wes?
I was about to say, let's clarify. It's Wes, not Slade.
There were 2 guys that came in, so I just want to like clarify. Like, if Slade's your type, I'm all for you. You should probably go to like an SEC tailgate, because I feel like you'd be able to meet him.
Yes.
But Wes? Whew. I said, let me go Wes.
My God. And he also gives me vibes. I'm like, I don't trust you, but it's okay. You're a pretty face. Come on in.
Yeah, I don't trust
welcome you with open arms.
I think he's going to be an F-boy, but...
I wrote down quick notes just so I can be like, do not forget to talk about this at all. So basically, on this season, we had 2 beautiful Black girls in the main cast. It's part of also like CBS, like you can really tell they're sticking to this championship of diversity thing where they're like, we want to have 50% of our cast be Black, Indigenous, people of color. And I am loving it, living for it, because I think it gives more drama. So when people are coming in, like you don't know what type they're going for, and it's not just like a clear you kind of see it, like how on Love Island it's like, oh, they're gonna go for the blonde girl
Right.
with big lips and fake boobs over and over and over again, which is
Right.
fine to have that type, but like it gets boring in terms of a show, and especially in a format like this, there's no mix up.
Right. This makes it a little less predictable. I was laughing because there was a TikTok I saw recently about like Love Island UK, and it was like when you're the black character on Love Island, and it's like, oh, I wish he would go for me, love, and they're not going to. And
Right.
so I think like having this more dynamic, diverse cast, like you don't know for sure what's going to happen and who's going to go for who, and it makes it a lot more interesting to watch.
And within this past week, the two original Islanders of Cash and Trina, both gorgeous black women, were fighting over a gorgeous black man. And I'm like, is this the first time that I've seen this happen on a reality TV show? And it wasn't even like, I don't know, it wasn't like cringe inducing, I guess, where like it's like a flavor of love type of thing, perhaps. But it was more of like, these are two, badass women, and this is like a very, very attractive man. And it's unfortunate because producers have only put in one person who's attracted to dark-skinned black women. So from that stance, but I also enjoyed it as a black woman watching the show, being like, I feel like, is this what real representation is?
Right, because they are all, I think that's important to say too, they are all dark-skinned black people.
Yes.
Like last season we had Justine and she was with Caleb, but Caleb was like mixed. And, there was like layers to that too, but they are all like dark. And I love it. I'm here for it.
Some chocolate. So they had their rivalry going on of like who's going to be the person to get Cinco, who was the guy. I thought Trina's a little shady for how she kind of went about it.
Yeah, I love Cash so much. She can do no wrong in my book. So anyone that goes against her, I'm like, we hate you. So I mean, Trina, we're still rooting for you as a fellow black woman, but I was disappointed with how it went down.
Because for me, on shows like this, it's all about not necessarily like if you have to go for someone else because like that's the format of the show, like it's going to happen. You're going to step on people's toes of that, however phrase they always kind of share with you, but it's about the respect and the openness. So if you're in a couple with someone, make sure you're vocal with your couple about being honest of like, hey, I like you, but I might want to like get to know other people, or, of the other girl in that situation too, if you're trying to get with another guy of who he's coupled up with, and just keep an open conversation so that yes, it's going to be awkward, but at least they won't be blindsided. And it's very weird as the audience to see like all this stuff coming and they're just kind of like smiling to themselves. And it's just painful to watch.
I feel like reality TV producers cast people that are scared of conflict so that they won't have these difficult converversations, because it would have been
like
really
the extremes of like people who love conflict and then the people who are afraid.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I agree. And so I'm like, wow, it really was Cinco just like afraid to share that he was more into Trina.
Right. He could have avoided all of it. And Cash kind of told him afterwards when he was like trying to like, oh, we're still friends. And she was like, no, like you shouldn't have like kissed me and been like, I'm trying to decide. And then I have to hear it from Trina. So
especially after like, I'm sorry, but those makeout sessions that Cash and Cinco had in bed were probably the heaviest makeouts I've seen on this show, period. So that's why I was also really shocked, because I was like, damn, if you can do it like this with a girl that you don't even like as much, like, what does that say about you? Oh.
Yep.
Oh. Also loved when they had some new girls come in. There's another beautiful black girl. I wish she had stayed. Her name was Layen. I was very confused why her name was Layen, but like, you know what? It's fine.
She was gorgeous. She was hyping up Cash. She was also on Team Cash.
Yes.
Love that.
Yes. I also wrote down that I hated how Trina said, I would never do this to a sister. And I felt like that was very manipulative.
Yeah, I did think that was like that conversation. I was like, oh, I don't like this at all. And that kind of deepened my dislike for Trina personally.
Yeah. So we've got some growth, hopefully, that we will see from her so that I can root for her for the rest of the season. But at this point, who are your favorite Islanders? Like 2 favorite girls and then 2 favorite guys?
I love Cash. I really like Shannon. Someone that's grown on me in the past couple episodes, and I will probably regret this because I do know her political leanings, is Olivia.
Oh, so are those confirmed? Because I've seen people like alluding to them just because she's from Alaska.
I thought we had confirmation. Maybe we don't. So maybe we
Oh,
don't.
I
Maybe
mean,
maybe I'm
I don't
safe.
know. I know that, the first guy, Christian, who was kicked off, those were definitely confirmed.
People are
but I
saying
don't.
Christian and Olivia were like definitely. So I was like,
Gotcha.
she definitely seemed like someone it was predictable who she would like, and she
Yes.
ended up coupled up with Giovanni first off, and
Mhm.
she's like kind of given him a chance. I think she's about to leave him.
Who's
So
like a mixed black, or I don't know if he's mixed, but gives off that vibe of like a mixed black guy.
yeah. Guys I'm rooting for, really love Giovanni. He just seems like so there for Cash, looking out for her, like making sure guys are there for the right reasons. Um, and then I'm gonna say Wes, just because I think he's hot.
Okay.
Not because I think he's a good guy. I just think he's really attractive.
Fair. I do not like Shannon. I think she's a pot stirrer, which, like, it's fine. It's good to have those people in shows like this, but it's just not for me.
Okay.
Do of course love my girl Cash. I also love Amy is my second. Like, I think she is stunning, and I love the vibe that she puts off. It's very calm, cool, collected, and sincere. She's open, honest whenever she's having these conversations of like, oh, I'm trying to move from person to person to person. And I actually want her to be with Wes, and then have Slade with Olivia. So then we can vote Slade and Olivia out.
Okay, fair. So what did you think about Amy and Cash, that little conflict?
With Isaiah, yeah, I thought it was kind of on Cash to do that right in front of Amy, given like that she liked him and all these things. But then as Cash was explaining it of her thought process of like, oh, I don't want to do this again, where I'm not giving my all to a guy, and that was like the beginning of her issues with Cinco. I could understand if that was kind of her thing. So I'm glad that she apologized and did all that stuff, and they kind of had that like makeup session. But that's what I'm saying. Like, as long as you kind of make the time to have those conversations where it doesn't like build and build and build, and you can just be mature adults about it, then that's how to go about it.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I also love Giovanni because he's hilarious, and Will is my second favorite because I love his little Colombian accent, and I loved how he was like, "You guys are too old to be peeing on the ground like this. Grow up. We're adults. You children. You Americans disgust me."
I was like, yes, King, tell them.
So I loved that too. And then in terms of like prediction things, I don't know if they said what type of vote thing is next, but I need to vote off Olivia because she's giving me nothing. I need to vote off Florida because she's hurting my and Jamie because they're hurting my boy Corey as well. So
yes, they
that's
gotta
really
go.
painful. Yeah,
they've got to go.
But again, like I'm saying, it's some great drama, some great couplings and stuff going on. And I'm loving the challenges and stuff too. So if you haven't tuned in yet, this is the season to try it out because it's definitely better than the last 2 seasons of UK of 6 and the current 7 for sure.
Yeah, I definitely have been entertained. Would recommend it. It's a great watch, like while you're working or doing something else too, working out, like for sure.
All right, that's it for me.
All right, should we dive into this week of The Bachelorette?
Oh, let us dive.
Okay, so what a week. Okay, let me just say that. So we start out and we have the guys in their little family room, living room situation gathered. They're talking about how there's going to be 2 one-on-one dates, 1 group date. Brendan and Mike P have not been on one-on-ones at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of the guys are like, well, I would like another, a second one-on-one date. So it's kind of like, what is she going to do? We see Katie talking to Caitlin and Tayshia, and she's debating the same thing. She's like, do I deepen relationships I already have, or do I kind of figure out if these are men whose families I want to meet? Because next week is hometowns already.
I know. Isn't that crazy? Will's saying the same thing. He's like, I feel like we did a hyper speed of a season to get here already.
Right. I feel like that 1 week where they split the dates, I'm like, how does this all come together? Because it seemed now it's like, oh, we're at hometowns. Like, it's just too fast. So the logical way to go about this, right, would be to give a one-on-one to Brendan and a one-on-one to Mike P, and then the rest of the guys go on the group date because you haven't been on one-on-ones with them. That is not what she does. She decides to take Greg on the first one-on-one date. His face when the date card came did not look thrilled.
Shocked, but I will say when it gets to this point before hometowns, is that's always what the dilemma is like, do you give it to the person you're trying to like give that extra validation to? And especially with him having that first date, just kind of to make sure like, is this a person that I'm feeling that strongly about, versus that end thing of like, is there even something there? And I agree with her, because I'm like, why kind of waste it on the opportunity of, will this work with this person if I've never even had a date with them at this point and it's hometowns next week? Or do I want to just kind of go and have a nice date with someone that I know I have a good connection with, and kind of going from there?
Right. So that's what she opted for. They, again, very low budget on this season, but the one-on-one date is they've recreated Pike Place Market in Seattle, because she's from Washington, and it's Katie's market, and so they are throwing fish at each other. They're eating fish
and gagging
and
on the oysters and stuff. It was cute. I would have enjoyed doing something, I guess, kind of like this more than some of the other stuff that they've offered this season for one-on-ones.
Okay.
But
I'm like, where's the budget? Where's the budget?
Nowhere to be found.
So they do that evening portion of the day. I didn't get a lot out of their date. Like, Katie asked him, like, are you excited for me to meet your mom? And Greg just seems so unenthused to me. Like, he just seemed very bored. He was like, yeah. Like, again, like we said earlier in the season, he kind of has the personality of a noodle. Like, that's what I was really picking up on. So night portion, they eat dinner. She gives him the rose. She's so excited to meet his family. And then the producers, to like bring in the Seattle theme again, have fake rain.
Yeah. I'm kind of mad because it's been in all of these promos up until this point, and so I thought it was going to be like this romantic thing of like they're caught in the rain and making out. But as I should have known, that this entire thing is always manufactured. So while it was very cute and like, oh my gosh, it's beautiful, it's, Nicholas Sparks-esque, it doesn't hit the same knowing that it was like, oh, we want to get this shot because of how magical it's going to look.
Yeah, it looked like a Walmart version of The Notebook to me. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I DM'd you every day for a year. Like, he's like, literally, he takes his jacket off. He's holding her up. Like, please, give us another location. Take them to somewhere else in New Mexico if we're going to do this.
I mean, essentially, this date was anti-Black for me. Because could you imagine, like, you want me to step out here? With this hair, this outfit? No.
Absolutely not. I spent how much time on my hair, and now you want me to just like, no.
Precisely.
I would be out there with a shower cap on, and that would be great television because someone would be lifting me up. I'd be in my shower cap.
And like, oh, look how real. So genuine, so real. Yes.
Exactly. So then we go back, and the rest of the guys are waiting for the date card to come. Group date card comes, and Blake reads it out. So Mike P is getting the one-on-one, and Brendan is going on this group date. And Brendan is crushed, predictably. He's like, I don't know why she's keeping me here. To which I said, Brendan, we don't know either, baby. He's telling all the guys, I don't know. And so then he decides to go to Katie's room.
Wait, let's go back, because also we didn't mention that Greg said that he was falling in love with Katie.
Yes.
During the night portion. And I think that's the first contestant we've heard say that, right? This season. At least to her
Other
face.
than Hunter.
Right. I can't fault you, Hunter, because you were up against the wall, but
But yes, first guy in this group that has said that.
Yeah. So I automatically felt like, again, because he's giving sad puppy dog face and he was saying that. And because of my thoughts of how much he's been featured on promo and all this stuff, that I just don't think that it can be him. I'm like, you're going to break this man. Truly.
Or is he going to break her?
Oh.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah. So, any other thoughts before I jump into Brendan?
No, sorry, go back
No,
into
no, no,
Brendan.
you're fine. So Brendan goes to Katie's door. This is one of the funniest scenes in Bachelor history to me because he knocks, and before she can come to the door, he pulls out his chapstick, puts it on really quick, and puts it away. He was not getting a kiss. I needed him to know that.
I mean, but haven't we all been there where you just want to prepare? Throw in a little icebreaker.
I might put a
A
mint in
little
my mouth.
EOS.
Like, so it made me laugh.
Yeah.
And she answers the door. She's super surprised. She's like, "What are you doing here?" And, he tells her, he's like, "I just don't know how comfortable I feel with you meeting my family when we haven't had any time alone." She's like, "You're right. Why don't I send you home?" It was cold. I fell for him. He was trying to get an additional one-on-one added into the week. I could see it. He was like, "Give me that third one-on-one." Like, say, and she was just like, "No, you're absolutely right. Like, we don't know each other that well. I can't see it with you. Why don't you go get in the car?"
Yikes. The issue is with any type of knock-knock situation like this where it's outside of regular date things, you have to know that that's a possibility of a 50-50 shot. So to know that this is the specific time that you tried to do that, Brendan, right before hometowns, and you're saying like, "Oh, I don't know if I feel comfortable," of course she's going to be like, "Okay, well, I don't want to put you through that, so bye." I don't
Have a
think
great
it makes
flight.
it right. I don't think it makes it that difficult for her. It's just funny because I'm like, surely he did not see. Or do you think he was trying to go here and say, like, try to remove himself?
That's what I thought when he went, but then when he was talking to her, I was
And like
like,
put the chapstick on and all that stuff?
I was like, no, this man's trying to get another one-on-one date added in.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Brendan. It just was not there. And I think in the history of the show too, I think only Kendall Long from Ari's season is the only one who never had a one-on-one date right before hometowns.
Right.
So it's
the odds aren't
common. The odds aren't there for you.
If you're a contestant and you're there and you haven't gotten a one-on-one and you're right before hometowns, stay for the social media followers, but understand you're going home.
You just have to pray that someone else self-eliminates so you can kind of like get yourself there. But if not, deuces.
Right. So what I thought was funny was we see him leaving Katie's room, and all of a sudden, like, his bag is packed. He's rolling down the hallway. He knocks on Blake's door. We never got to see this background of like Blake and Brendan know each other from home in Canada.
Right.
Are apparently friends, but like this is the first instance where you still wouldn't even really know, even from this clip.
Yeah, I was like, I feel so bad for viewers who didn't know, because they're just gonna be like, "Oh, why'd he go and see Blake only and then left like in the dark of night?" So it's like, obviously it makes sense in the context, but I'm like, also, is that not weird? Where you're gonna go cry to your friend of saying, "Oh, she doesn't like me, she likes you more, so I'm gonna leave."
It was a little weird, right?
Right. I mean, I'm sure maybe you get over it in this setting, but yeah, it's weird to me.
So then we have the group date, which Brendan is now not on, but it is Blake, Andrew S., Michael A., and our artiste, Justin. So Katie takes them to this garden and says, "What do you think of these art pieces? They all look like female genitalia.
Kitties."
And they're kind of like trying not to say it. And then they cut to Blake and he's like, because he will say it. And he's like, "Looks messy." And then the artist pops up and says, "It's actually a self-portrait." He's like, "Oh."
I mean, I jumped. So I was like, where the heck did you come from?
She came out of nowhere. I was scared at home. I was like, "Oh, jump scare."
It was like a whack-a-mole. Yeah, it was very scary.
So she paints these portraits of lady parts, and she says, like, that's what we're going to do on today's date. I felt like, again, it was a recycled date from Tayshia's season, which is funny because Blake was on that date.
Right.
So going into it, you think Justin's going to win because he's the artist, right?
You would think.
He can only apparently paint like a rose.
But also, okay, here's what I kind of figured out. So, yes, it's like a time thing, perhaps, where he's like, I paint really well, but he does it over periods of time. So he's like, what can I just do really quickly that'll look nice? And so perhaps that's it, versus doing like a really mediocre job of like everything else. And like he had like the very much, like, you could tell like this is a joke stick figure thing.
Right.
because I looked on his Instagram, and there's actually, I'm like, oh, talent. It's not just butterflies and whatnot. It's like other things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let us find out.
Let us find out.
So Michael A sculpts Katie's butt. I don't know. Good for him, I guess.
But
And
like, was it a butt? Like they said it was a butt, but I was like, I don't.
yeah, I was trying. They had it blocked, the black box on it, so I was trying to kind of
Yeah.
head tilt because it didn't really look like. And I was like, "What are we talking about?"
It was losing some volume there, so I was like, I feel like this is disrespectful.
Right. And Justin was like, "I hope her butt doesn't look like that." And I was like, "Oh, interesting." So he did that. Andrew S. just like, I don't even know what he painted.
Yeah, I don't remember.
It wasn't memorable.
There you
Blake,
go.
of course, his is blacked out again.
Mm-hmm.
He starts telling us about it. That's completely bleeped out. ABC, when are you going to release the tape? Release it. We want to see what it was. I want to see the sculpture from last season. I want to see the painting from this season.
We deserve. And I hope that if the like Connor can release his full songs and all this stuff, surely he can share that on his own social media.
Blake
Perhaps.
did tweet that he would. He was like, it's coming. So I'm waiting. I want to see.
Okay.
So then we go to the evening portion. Guys are all great. She gives the rose to Michael A. after they have a very cute moment where she like talks about his son again. And she's like, each rose I give you, like, it's also going to your son. I think about like what our life would be like if we were together. It's like, oh, has she actually started to think about like being a stepmom?
Mm.
Because he's just really in the audience. Like before this part, he's like, there's a lot to talk about before hometowns because I have a child. And I was like, very good point. A lot of things, we talked about like the race portion. There's a lot of things you have to talk about if you have a child, and they haven't really. So I was like, interesting that like now he's like, oh, I feel like our conversation was great because I feel like there was still a lot to figure out.
Yeah, I thought it was a little disrespectful for her to like give all this validation to Andrew S. He like had producers help him recreate this like their first date, and he's like lifting her up to the lights and tells her that he's also falling for her. So we now got 2 out of the 5 left. And which was like a perfect moment too, because this is like kind of like your last shot to be able to do this. And at the end, I was like, "Ooh!" I was kind of thinking she was going to give it to him but then she did her thing of like around the circle of,
right.
And I kind of appreciated that because it is such a very important rose because it's that security before going to hometowns. But I did not appreciate that they had that moment and then it went to Michael A. Like, okay. Good for him, I guess.
Yeah,
I guess.
I love Michael A. So you're not gonna rain on our parade.
I mean, I love him as well, but I feel like in this situation when you're trying to get your 2 of 4, why not go with the people who are the sure bet in returning those feelings to you as well?
Yes.
Because you still have to have all these conversations with Michael A. even more so about parenthood. And then also, like, he has not even said that he's there with you emotionally.
Right.
Are you moving to Ohio? Is he moving to California?
Right. That's what I mean. I'm like, there's a lot of conversations to have. So I don't know. I thought, honestly, all of the men in the evening portion did great.
They did. They all did very well.
Out. I thought Michael A. stood out.
Justin.
I know Justin and Blake were there, but Blake told her he's not falling in love with her yet. He was like, I'll get there, though. So I was like, ooh, that's kind of yikes.
Yeah. Justin Payton again.
Justin, that's right. They talk about his butterfly painting. Beautiful. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. So that's the group date. And then we have Mike P's one-on-one.
Oh, I also want to share, too, that I loved Katie's dress from the group date, the night portion. It was one of the better ones that she had.
Better outfits. Okay.
Yeah.
So Mike P is our virgin this season, and production is leaning into that with everything they have. And so their date is led by a cuddle queen. I did not know this was a thing.
Every day, I'm experiencing new things. So sure, come on, cuddle community. Let me learn about you.
Right. She talks about her cuddle community. She's like, you're going to get dressed in something more comfortable. And his outfit made him look like he was in a cult. Okay, he was in this all white get up.
And I'm like, did they do this on purpose?
100%.
To like just have this little like woods thing, this woman pop out of, again, nowhere, and say, hey guys, let's cuddle. And Mike P, because of course you listen to this podcast, I want you to know that even if you're not a virgin, that date would have been very, very awkward.
No, I was watching and I was like, if I went on a date and someone was like, yeah, you're gonna like, we're gonna do cuddle community things, I'd be like, I'm out. Let me self-eliminate right now. Get the car, dead ass.
Precisely.
It was so uncomfortable. So she guides, I thought it was gonna be tantric yoga at first, but they said, no, we're gonna do something a little different. We're gonna do cuddle community. So she puts them in different cuddle positions. They're both laughing. She says that they're laughing because they're not comfortable with each other. Maybe true. And then we get an ITM of Mike P. And he says, you know, like, I really like Katie because she reminds me of my mom. And I thought to myself, dear God, please do not tell her this.
Yeah.
And then we cut back to them. And he says, Katie, you remind me of my mom.
How many times in total? I feel like it was at least 3.
Yeah, I think that at least 3. Yes.
And so I'm like, I really hope this is some type of like cut, you know, whatever, because I just can't fathom why you would tell someone this. And now, of course, it's not a new thing for people to be attracted to people who remind them of their dad, their mom, whatever. But I feel like when it's more of like, oh, you're eating Chipotle on a Friday night and the way they giggle or something, or the way they like helped you fix your car, something like a lot less intimate. But like when you're literally on top of her, you want to say, you remind me of my mom.
Right. Like he talked about, he was like, you take on people's emotions and that reminds me of my mom. He could have said that in a different setting and that would have been right as creepy when they were like literally wrapped around each other and he's like, hey, you remind me of my mom. Like it's weird.
Yeah, I said ew multiple times.
Ew.
So yeah, Mike P. Let's circle back to that hopefully in therapy because I think you might need to. And
then we cut to the guys and Blake saying he's really nervous for Mike P because he said, you know, obviously he didn't go on the group date because that would have been really awkward for him on the group date. I don't know that it would. I mean, I don't know. He went on the sex stories one, right?
Right.
Or best lover. And so then Andrew Ross is like, well, I know he's done other things, which is like probably where we saw that interview from Katie with Nick Viall.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't a good look. And so
yeah, and then Blake says like, oh, you know, because Mike P is so by the book and Katie's not by the book. And I'm like, oh, you mean like the good book, like as in the Bible?
I'm glad you thought that too. I was like, the book is the Bible.
The book is the Bible.
It's literally the Bible. So I was laughing at that too. But Katie comes back out. She's crying. And Mike's like, hey. And she's like, hey, like, it's been really great getting to know you. But like, this isn't going to work out. I'm going to send you home. And he's like, that's okay. Like, I'd rather it be this way. Yada, yada, yada. He gets in the car and leaves. Wasn't shocking to me.
Was not shocking at all. And then, of course, I know what you're probably about to share, too, is that Katie tweets out after he goes home on this date that being a virgin is not a character trait.
Well, they just filmed Men Tell All like last week. So before this, I was like, maybe Men Tell All went really badly and he was really nasty to her. But now I'm like, no. I don't know if this is at production and she just doesn't know how to communicate that message well, which is what it seems like. But
yeah, like they made her keep him super long because of like, oh, you know, of that storyline point. And I mean, she's right. It's not a character trait. And yeah, they really seem to have nothing in common. So it was weird that he was around this long. But I feel like don't point that at him.
Right.
At this point of assuming that he hasn't done anything like nasty, whatever. Because he seemed very respectful on that little, what's it called? I don't even remember what the date was called earlier on. just talking about their differences of how he was a virgin, but he's like, I still
Yes.
want to like
The
love you,
greatest lover
support you.
date. Yeah.
Right. So at this point, I'm just like, you're kind of coming after this guy a little too hard, and like, yeah, he has his own approach to life. This might not be something you agree with, but it feels like a lot to me.
Yeah, it's again what we talked about before. Like sex positivity does not just mean like you have sex, right? Like you should be sex positive. You can be sex positive and be someone that is abstaining from sex.
Yeah, so it's just not a good look for me, but
yeah, I agree.
See.
So then we see her with Tayshia and Caitlyn. They're talking about this upcoming rose ceremony. Katie admits this is probably the hardest one she's like going into so far. She's getting like emotional talking about it. And so she's like, I don't know. It's going to be pretty wild. So we go in and Michael A and Greg already have roses. She's going to be meeting their families. The next rose goes to Blake. And so Justin and Andrew S. are left, and she gives the final rose to Justin, which was a shocker for me.
Same. I remember I was like, oh my gosh, Andrew S. is going to win this thing. Like, I honestly felt like he was the only guy there who had the complete package of like making her laugh, like having this type of physical chemistry with her, having deep conversations, and like there was no like awkward pauses. I think Blake had that kind of as well, but it doesn't seem as deep with him. It seems to be purely more physical and then just kind of like slightly vibe. So very shocked. Is there something we're missing between her and Justin, or do you think it was a conversation that Andrew S. shared about his career and she felt too much pressure about that to keep him around longer if she wasn't necessarily sure, or like thinking that it would work out in the long term where it would be worth it for him to give up his career?
I don't know. I feel like there must be something with Justin we're not seeing, because it just felt very weird timing for her to send Andrew home, especially after they connected. He just said like, I'm falling for you. All of that. It just seemed like, oh, where did this come from?
Yeah, I am perplexed and truly shocked.
Yes. So we still have a little bit of episode left. So we see Andrew leave. She walks him out. She says, like, I just felt like other relationships were there and ours wasn't. And he's like, okay, he gets in the car. They're both really sad. She's crying. She's like, this is so hard. Well, then the next day, she gets a knock on her door, and it's Andrew S. They both immediately start like smiling and giggling. It did not feel like people that had just broken up, right? Like it was like they seemed so excited to see each other. He comes in and he's like, I just wanted to make sure like our whole relationship has been fun and happy, and like I wanted us to end on a fun and happy note. She gets kind of emotional. She's like, thank you. She hugs him. She starts walking to the door, and he says, when you get a chance, like he has a note for her, and he gives it to her, and he's like, you can read this. So he walks out and leaves. She opens the note, and it says, I want to make sure I get this right. It says, if you change your mind, I'll be waiting. Smiley face, Andrew.
My heart.
My heart too. She starts getting really emotional. She starts crying, and then she runs out of the room barefoot. Is trying to find him, gets to the lobby and is like, Andrew, and like jumps into his arms to hug him. And, he's really surprised. He's like, oh, and she's like, would you want to stay? If there was a way for you to stay, would you want to stay? And he kind of pauses. Then he's like, no. And he's like, I don't want to do that. And she's like, okay. And she's like, I'm not asking you to. I'm asking you, but I'm not asking you to. But like, I understand. And so she walks him to the car. She says, one last kiss. He says, yeah, sure. They kiss. I mean, it was just the weirdest breakup. The thing I have to ask you about this is there's a lot. Okay.
Let's break it. Like, okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Let me ask you this question.
Okay.
Twitter was kind of roasting Andrew S. because he said, if you change your mind, I'll be waiting for you. And then Katie asks him, would you want to stay? And he says, no. And he says in an ITM, like, it would be too painful for me to keep going to these rose ceremonies feeling like she might pick someone else over me. I took it when he got the note, like, after this is over, if you change your mind.
That's also how I took it, because I don't think you could feel confident in your relationship of saying, oh, just kidding, bring you back. when she just felt confident enough to send you home. Like, of course she's, like it'd be weird for her to just to flip flop in that moment like that. I wouldn't feel confident like going forward.
Right.
So yeah, I feel no whatever towards Andrew S for saying no at that point in time. I think it was good for there to be like some type of separation there. I was kind of mad though that she ran all the way down there. She's like, oh, I just wanted to hug you. I'm like, you're not even gonna like kiss, do like a more of an embrace. It was just, again, loving to use these little cinematic moments for her gain, and like with the other rose ceremony things that she's done, like, oh, this will be really good and dramatic, and then that was it.
Yeah. What was your whole take on this Andrews thing? Like break it down for us.
you know Again, it does not make sense because, like you said, like this wasn't a breakup. Like there was just so much love there. They had that kiss, but perhaps like I'm just so confused because I don't think I've ever seen something like this on this show where there was not like a clear thing, especially knowing who the other people are in the final four, like knowing that Justin's the alternative.
Right.
So I am perplexed at the decision making here. Um I really thought it was career based, but then, with her saying, "Oh, come back." I don't know what's going on. I don't think this is a good look for Katie because then it's like, do you even know what you want at this point? Um so let's hope that her choice going forward, her final choice, whatever that may be, is something she has a little bit more confidence in because I think she has known who her top two people are throughout this entire thing. Like I think she feels very confident about it, whatever. So I mean, like, I guess it makes sense. So she's like, oh, I don't want to keep him longer because I think he's falling hard for me because he even said that.
Yeah.
And so she's like, if I'm not there yet with him, I will send him home. Perhaps.
But yeah, it wasn't even like a painful breakup. It was just like, I don't feel like it was a breakup.
Mm-hmm. So does that mean like even either one of them weren't really into each other, or they both knew like, ooh, I'm gonna play it up, so like, it was like an improv class for them essentially.
I don't know. It definitely felt like
Acting 101.
It felt like an Andrew for Bachelor moment because he talks about like, I know when I find my woman, like I want to know that I would be her final choice and she would choose me. That feels very, very, very like Bachelor.
Yeah. It was very reminiscent to what Hannah B said. I think before this, I would have said they're not going to do another Black Bachelor back-to-back. Not after the pain that the production team put everyone through and we put them through. But after this episode and the editing, I mean, I think they had to do that because like, who are our other choices? From the top four right now, I don't think anyone wants to. It's strong enough to even perhaps Greg. Like,
no,
if he weren't to win, is Greg giving off strong enough? I don't think so. He's a little too shy. It just wouldn't work.
Would love a Justin season because the memes would be on point, but
Right.
I don't know that we know enough about him for him
Yeah.
to be Bachelor. So
precisely.
So that was the vibe I got. That was our episode. Our trailer shows Katie crying and she's like, I might have just left the person. I might have just let the person I'm supposed to be with go. Which I was like, is this about Andrew? Is this about someone she eliminates next week at Hometowns?
I feel like it'll be about someone else. What do you think about Hometowns? What do you think we'll see? Obviously, it'll be low budget realness again. I'm kind of really excited to see what Michael A does for Ohio.
Yeah, I'm curious. Like, is his son going to be there? We still haven't seen the clip of his son saying like, "You don't want to see me." So I would assume that's probably next week or after that. So yeah. I'm assuming we're not going to see the son at Hometown. Justin's brother, it looked like, was there.
Yeah.
Curious to see Blake's family again.
Yeah. Do you remember where Justin is from?
I don't off the top of my head.
I know Greg is New Jersey, so I'm like, I wonder if he's going to do actual New Jersey or if he's going to do like a Zach Clark thing and do like New York.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, here we go again with the exact same thing. Blake, I feel like it's going to be very wilderness-y. Perhaps he finds ways to bring an animal and it's a little petting zoo. And then, Justin, maybe he'll like get her to paint something for once. I'm assuming that's probably what will happen.
Oh, that would be something.
But that's what I'm kind of envisioning From there, I would say Justin goes home, but like this guy has made it a lot further than I think a lot of us
Thought.
previously thought. I only said he made it far because of the promo things, but I was like, I still don't understand why he makes it far. I still don't. So, yeah, well, we will see. We will be tuned in and watching because hometowns are some of my favorite parts of the season.
Yeah, I always think it's really fun and interesting to see the family dynamic.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Now, do you have a rose of the week, a villain of the week?
What is with this villain? Don't think I'll ever end with a villain because I want to end on like a nice positive note. So if you have a villain, then you go
I
first.
Do.
Okay. No, no shade to you.
My villain this week is the IOC, who is still holding the Olympics in Tokyo, but they are my villain because of one of our contestants as a Paralympian named Becca Meyers. She is a deaf and blind swimmer. She was going to compete in 4 events. Her personal aide is her mother. She's a personal care assistant because she is deaf and blind, helps lead her around, things like that. The IOC said her mother could not travel with her to Tokyo.
I'm sorry?
No mom in Tokyo. So she has pulled out of the Tokyo Olympics because she said she would not feel comfortable. They said, we'll give you another aide. And she was like, my mother has always been my personal care aide. Like, this is what I would be most comfortable with. It just, like, don't say that the Olympics are accessible, right, to Paralympians and then say her personal care aide can't travel with her.
I'm sorry. What in the ableist BS is that?
Yeah. I saw it yesterday and I was just like so mad. And I was like, you know what? This is going to be my villain of the week.
Is there a thought process like, oh, no one else can bring their family member? Like a family member? Is that why they're saying that?
I think that's what it is, but I'm like, her mother is like her personal care assistant, like her designated person. So
like who there would really say it's not fair that she no one.
Right. I'm like a lot of the Paralympians are going to have support systems for their disabilities, right? Or their abilities. So to like tell her mom can't come when it wasn't just like her mom coming to watch her, like it's like her mom is her guide.
I didn't realize that they did the Paralympics at the same exact time.
Yeah.
Which I guess makes sense so they don't have to like set up, take down everything.
It's like right after, I think.
Okay. Yeah, but it is still wild with the amount of like I've seen US basketball team members who have had to drop out because of COVID things. Everyone else. I hope that everyone stays safe and healthy and stuff over there because it seems like every day we're getting new things or information and it's kind of scary.
It doesn't look good. So yeah, so about Becca, since 2017 after Rio, because she had some trouble there navigating, the U.S. Paralympic Games have said like your mother can travel with you because she's your designated person. In 2018, she won 5 gold medals at the Pan Pacific Swimming Championships in Australia. In 2019, she won 4 medals and set 2 world records as a Paralympian. But no, because of the coronavirus pandemic, they have significant limitations on foreign delegations, including personal care assistants. So her mother would not be allowed to go.
I'm sorry. I really hate that.
Yeah, so I just like really, really hate that for her. The USOPC did say that her mother could go with her. The IOC ruled that she could not.
I'm pissed because I know that this woman has probably worked her ass off to do something like this, especially knowing that for the past couple of years she's done this exact same thing. And then to pull this out from her in the last moment it's unfair. And gosh, I think the IOC is just zero for whatever now because it seems like every week they're coming out with things in news where they're like, we don't care about anyone here. We're just trying to keep this going so we can make the money that we have lost.
The only thing they care about is making the money back. So it's just really shitty. And, I hope that Becca Meyers has a opportunity to compete in the future Olympics. But it sucks that this is being taken from her.
Yeah. My rose of the week is Naomi Osaka. I think just because I don't know if we had started doing this at the time when she had that whole like mental health thing of pulling out of one of the tournaments and kind of just becoming like a face for it during this time right now. But in addition to that, she has a Netflix documentary that just came out this past week. She's on the cover of Vogue, and I think that's where she was like the first Haitian Japanese whatever. And then her being on, you know, Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Edition, like she is killing it, top of her game. And I know that she is very much like an introvert and shy person, and it's so genuine, I feel like, coming from her, because there's no ulterior motives. You can tell like she's just living her life and trying to do what she can do best for her. um and I can already see like the impact that it's having on a lot of other people, of how she's able to stand up and fight for saying like, hey, this is what works for me, and I can't be in this space right now because it's not good for my health. Like that empowers so many other people out there, not just young people, not just athletes, to feel like they can be vocal about their needs. And yeah, I'm just proud of her, and I love her, and I stand her, and I can't wait to see what she keeps on doing with her career, because even so far, I'm like, yes, I love it.
Yes. And making money too. I think she's like
Money,
yeah.
highest paid female athlete, and I said, excuse me. I was shocked, honey.
For like the second time. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, come on.
I was really shocked because I could have sworn it was Serena. I mean, I guess I'm very happy, good for her, but I'm like, I feel like I'm missing these ads, girl. Because usually when it was like Serena doing stuff, like I would see her on commercials all the time. Like Naomi, I think I see like a couple here and there, just like online.
And I think she's doing a lot of stuff in Asia.
There you go. There's the money.
Yep.
There you go. Alrighty then.
Well, this has been a great week. Lots to talk about.
Lots to talk about. And I'm excited to keep on watching, of course, end of Bachelorette, ready to give more Love Island news, because I feel like even this, once another week rolls around, who even knows what will happen by then.
Spicy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, friends, thank you so much for listening. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and listen on your podcast listening app of choice. And we will see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.